Well, here's just a hand that was played at another table. It's nothing really. It's just something to bring up. It's like, I open up the gun. Oh, it's only 4-handed, but the guy calls or whatever, and you turn the trips. You basically have the nuts. Sure, betting standard and betting is totally fine and what I would do most of the time, but it's fine to mix things up. And I did a check call here. He ended up having 8s, which if I bet the turn, he's probably gonna call me anyway. But it's just something you can do. You can mix up your game. Again, especially versus unknowns, you want to do whatever's best. So if you think that you just have so much fold equity on that turn, and you think the guy may fold a hand like 7s or 8s based on the limited things you've seen on him, or if you're playing a solid 14, 13 game like me, and you're going to get a lot of credit, then you may want to. There's another hand that happened there. You may want to just mix it up and go for a check call or something in a spot where you normally bet, just because you think you're going to get more. You're going to make more money doing so. I called a 3-bet against that guy. I flopped pretty good, and he did some crazy overbet shove on the turn, eliminating my odds, and I didn't think I was good, so just folded. But basically he did another crazy play, but he is raking in the dough of that table, so who am I to tell him how to play? So you can see when I play, even though I think I'm 10 tabling at this point, which is probably why I felt like I had so much action when really there hasn't been too much. You see I'm always looking at hands I'm even not involved in, or I'm not even involved in, and looking for notes and stuff like that. This bottom left table, table 3, again a spot where if I knew my opponent and I knew he liked to check raise, I may just check that back, and go for flatting the turn, or re-raising the turn if he leads on a brick or something like that. It's totally fine. But in this situation, I don't know this player. He's showing 1 star, so I just elected to bet. If I got check raised, I'm probably going to fold, especially when it's that big. I hope I fold. But, it hurts to fold, but at the same time, if he's a weaker player, then they, always give you credit for ace-king, so I think that's, definitely a fold. I'm sure he could have, some, crazy combo draw, but even that, has pretty good equity against me, and he just re-raised so large. You don't like folding, but again, it's just a spot where we talked about, earlier in this video is, if I don't expect him to check raise, or I don't know, I definitely want to bet for value because the board is so wet. And if he has a piece, he's definitely going to call me, and I'll bet the turn. And then I'll even kind of evaluate if I want to bet the river or not. And if he likes to check raise, I will check it back and try to pocket control the hand, or potentially go for something like a re-raise on the turn. If the guy leads, especially if the board's really wet, and you could just balance that by doing it with an actual hand, which would be good versus someone who actually can check raise, but also folds a fair amount to c-bets. Twos there, yeah, I can go either way. When the guy doesn't have a full stack, it's set mining kind of sucks. And if there's players behind you that can squeeze, probably already squeezed once, in a spot where I didn't think he would, the more likely that you're going to get squeezed by one of those guys, the more it's just a fold. If no one's going to squeeze you, your set mining is kind of out the window, assuming that he bets normal. If he bets $2, meaning you could see or checks a lot post flop, meaning you could see future streets for cheap. Then obviously the set money can go up a bit, and especially if you can steal pots from him, meaning that he checks, you bet, he folds, or he bets you can just bluff raise and get him to fold, without having that knowledge of that player. And again, especially if he bets really big or barrels or c-bets, and you're just kind of playing for the straight up set value of 2s, because that would eliminate showdown value of 2s. If he barreled a lot, so you're going to plan to call him down all 3 or something like that, which we just don't have enough information on that guy, then our straight up set value is just not really good there, because he has a half stack. So basically against a guy who doesn't have a full stack, I would like to know something about him, and or have people behind me that aren't going to squeeze at a very high frequency. These 3 players all seem decent on table 4, so I would expect them to squeeze, a decent amount of time. This Dutch player, we involved only in like 2 small pots, and he played really, really, really passive in them. They weren't on the. I just fast forward through them. So, I didn't 3-bet pre. I expect him to fold way too much or 4-bet like good hands. And here, I just don't think he like has anything.